Hi, everybody. It's Marsha Casper Cook, and we are doing our third show on Podbean Live. And my guest is waiting to come on, so I will bring her in right now. Crystal, there you go.
Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. You should be tired. You just did a show before. You had two
Oh
shows.
no, that's fine.
I know. Anyway, hello to everybody, and we I've been doing shows for about 16 years, and as people know, Blog Talk Radio left, and so I had no choice but to leave too. But I've had so many shows, but now it's a little different now. The time span seems to be a problem for some people because the time comes in on a different thing. But it is 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Mountain, and 2 o'clock Pacific. And Crystal, I don't. You're Eastern, right? Yes,
Yes, yes.
I know. I got this now because it says on my phone 3 o'clock, and then it says 4 o'clock here. And then most likely when the show is over, it'll show me 4 o'clock. So I figured, well, we'll see how this goes. Anyway, so I'm an author and a screenwriter and a podcast host. I produce all the shows, and I've had tons of great guests, and they'll be coming on very soon. And Crystal, I know for years, so I'm going to let Crystal just talk a little bit about herself, and then we'll go on. So, Crystal, you're in this a long time too.
Yeah, I've been on it 20 years.
Yep.
Author, um, not screenwriter so much. I tried once,
Right.
but it didn't work. A literary agent,
Agent.
and now for the last 14 years, I've owned a promotion and marketing company. It went through three name changes, but we're still here. And
Right.
my name has changed also because of being hacked and everything. So now it's Crystal Miles, MILES, and I'm with C&J Promotions and Marketing, and we have six employees that are really great, and we're going gangbusters now.
It's great. Right. I also should say, I guess I should say that I was a literary agent with the Writers Guild. I forget that part, but I'm bringing this up because one of my clients is coming on after all these years. He's coming on next week, Murray Siegel, and he had a screenplay. He was a very good writer. As usual, nothing happens because it's very tough. It's all about the money. If you have a lot of money, you can get your screenplay made. And if you're very lucky, someone will read your book and make it into a movie, which can happen now. And so I think also he wrote a book from his screenplay, which is what I do. So I tell authors that. So I usually forget to say that, but if people are out there have screenplays and it hasn't gone anywhere and it's in a drawer, take it out, look at it, and try to make it into a book. And hopefully someday somebody will see it and then say, I think I want to make this into a movie.
Well,
Well, I actually saw that when he was, I
yeah,
looked,
we can all hope
yeah,
for that.
yeah. Well, right. I had four options or something like that, and it doesn't matter. They don't want to pay for the options, and just there's nothing you can do unless you want to give some money. If you give money and you're an investor, I think you can get it done. It's and because there's so many outlets now, and I know you have some clients that have been successful with other fields too.
Oh
So
yeah.
but so you can't put away your work. Just don't forget that you can get it out there now, and so you publish people, which is a
Yeah.
good thing,
Hmm.
and you help them through it. So tell us a little bit about what you do for them. As far as when they come to you, you say, I have a book. What can I do?
Yeah. As soon as they come to me with a book, we ask a series of questions just to make sure that we're going to be getting it right for them. And a series of questions for one might be, do you have a cover, and do you want it in ebook and paperback?
Yeah.
And so we start out with that. Has it been edited? If it hasn't been edited, we get it edited.
Yeah.
One of our employees will edit it, and we proofread before, just to make sure that we think that the book can go somewhere. And we're there every step of the way with you, down to the formatting of the book and putting the book on Kindle Direct Publishing, and then draft to digital and smash words and all those. So you're getting the full Monty with this, I guess you would say. I don't I'm not good with words, believe it or not, but it's very important that you have communication.
Yeah.
And when you are publishing a book, you need to have somebody there for you
Right.
24/7. And one of our staff members, usually me, because I want to make sure it's done right. Um, and we make sure that it goes right down to the bottom until you
Yeah.
get right there, and you pick out your categories and everything, and we try to help you with that. But then we also throw in the promotion and marketing. Most
Yeah.
publishing companies won't do that anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So what we do is we put that in there too. So you are getting the whole scope of publishing your book, getting it out there, and letting people see what it's all about.
Right. And I think that people, one of the things they think that the book is out, it's on Amazon, and they can just forget about that. That's not true. There's a lot of work after that, which is what authors don't want to do. I mean, I don't like marketing. I've said it for years, but I'm doing it all the time. And I ended up, a podcast host because my publisher said you need to do a show, and that was 16 years ago. And I go, I don't think so. I don't think this is not what I want to do. And I heard what Michael Sanchez said. He said because that's the last thing I wanted to do. And then I did it, which we all know because it was Red River, and I actually did 5 minutes, and I was a wreck. And then and I was while I was reading. I think April, Robin, she had it was for a Christmas show, and everybody got to read a little bit about their book, 5 minutes. And while I was reading the book, I'm editing out words while I'm reading it. I'm thinking, I don't know if I can put it. 16 years ago was such a long time, you know, and everything was different then. It was nothing like it is now.
Oh yeah,
I
so much
yeah, and then she
simpler.
said, "You wanna do another show?" And I did, and then she said, "You wanna do your own show?" And I went like, "What? What?" I did not I was a wreck. I really was a wreck. So I did do it, and there were 30, I think about 30 of us that were doing shows on every subject. Everybody had their own lane, except for me, because she knew I would just be able to talk to everybody and not say no to anybody that, maybe I would be too prudish, because there was, at that time, there was so many sexual books. There are now too, but it was just coming where it was loaded in the market. And I said,
Yeah,
fine, I'll have them
but
on,
you could say what you wanted to in the
it was
book.
very different, yeah.
uh
So and that's how it happened, where I started doing this, and I heard what Michael said on when you were on today, that being on a podcast is a really good way for people to get themselves out there because they can put the link on their website. And people want to
Exactly.
hear what authors have to say. It's really a shame that people like Barnes and Noble and things like that, they need to have more authors there. People love to talk to authors. They love it.
Yeah.
I love
More
it.
book signings, I think.
Yeah,
They've went away, and we need more book signings. The
yeah.
events are good, but I think just a one-on-one book signing
Oh, they
with
were great. Yeah,
in
I
a
went to
bookstore is
schools. Yeah,
awesome.
I loved it. It was so much fun,
Hmm.
but they stopped it, and because it was a lot of work, and then they cut staff. Barnes and Noble cut like
Oh yeah.
they cut so much staff. And I was at Walden Books. I think there might be Walden Books now, but I went to a Walden Books. They were so nice to me. It didn't matter if I was just starting out. They were really great. And so it was a good experience. So I would hope that they would continue to do this, but they're not doing it as much.
Yeah,
They
they're
don't have the
not.
staff to do it, I think.
No.
That's
Yeah,
what
like
they
all
say.
the book $500,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
And a
yeah,
lot there's Walden's down further south, like in the
it,
bigger states.
yeah,
And
yeah.
um, we have Carmichael's here in Louisville, Kentucky, and they are the oldest bookstore in the state, and they are just wonderful people. They'll let you come in anytime, night or day, you know.
Really nice. Yeah, very
You can
nice.
stand there and sign books if you want. I mean, it's
Yep.
not like they're going to charge you a fee or anything.
No, they were. I think that's a really good way for people to, also for authors to just communicate with other people
Exactly.
that are authors, because sometimes authors will come to other authors to listen.
They
You
do.
know,
They
and
do.
I haven't gone to. If I like to fly, I probably would go to more conventions, and I think about it a lot, but I don't like to fly.
Yeah.
But I think that's also a great way, because you can have one-on-ones, because I think they have a lot of tables at these, conventions, and you can sell your own books.
Right. And the small town events at your libraries are really good
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
Because then you get to know your hometown people and you can talk about books with them. And
yeah.
um, that next door, I don't know if you know about that, where the people in your community, you can talk to them, like message them. And
Oh,
that's a great way to get known too. And I've
well,
done that
yeah.
several
See,
times.
Chicago's tougher that way. Chicago, New York, it's hard, very
Yeah,
hard,
it is.
very hard, very difficult. But I think, even if you have a career going, it doesn't matter if you're just starting, or even it's still not easy to get a book signed.
Right.
It's
Hmm.
very hard. And after COVID, everything changed. I used to go to children's schools, and that was really fun. But I don't know
Yeah,
if they do that too much anymore.
I don't
Yeah,
know. I mean,
that's
I
what. Yeah,
did at one time.
it
But
was
yeah,
such fun.
I don't think you get to do that anymore unless
So
you're like the governor's wife or something.
yeah, well, right, which I am not. Which I am not.
Right.
But, I do think, I heard what you were talking on the other show about marketing. I mean, there's no two ways to put it other than what I don't like marketing, and you do a good job for people. However, you have the people like me and other people, they have to help you, because they have to go in and actually share it.
Right.
I mean, you
And
can't do that for them. They have to
I
do it.
I've learned a lot from you, Marsha, over the years.
No,
And,
thanks.
I take it all into consideration and I think about it and, I implement some of it and some of
Yeah,
it, there's no
yeah,
place for it. So,
right.
and I do that with every author that I
Yeah,
communicate with.
yeah. And I think that it is difficult to market. I mean, like I've told you this all the time when we talk. I've told it to you already, because the thing is, if I don't sell a book, it's not your fault. It's just what happens, and we're all in a big mix. And Amazon, the part about Amazon is it's everybody's pitted against each other by the numbers, the reviews, and I think it's really hard for new authors to feel comfortable
It is.
about looking at other authors that have 1,000 reviews, which God knows I still do not know how they all get them.
Yeah, I
You know,
don't either. I mean,
no matter how many shows I do, nobody has that answer,
yeah,
and it's not because they're such great books. And I just, all authors, anybody I have on my show, it doesn't matter if they've sold for 20 years but just started, they're the same. We're all in the same boat. So I don't classify one author as, oh, this one's better than the next. No, because we're all the same. We have the same issues. We
yeah,
write, and we want to sell, but we also want to write. And we can't, it's very, I think our minds get clouded, because trying to market and trying to write at the same time are very difficult things to do together.
it is. You have to choose one over the other when you're doing something. It's
Yeah.
like I talked to a lady the other day and she said, I've been marketing for 2 weeks and I got to get back to writing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well,
Right.
have you talked to anybody about,
Marketing.
promotion and marketing and
Right.
doing it? Oh, no, they're so expensive. I can't afford that. You know what? I don't go by the money. I go by
Yeah.
what the person can afford.
Right.
And
Yeah.
what there we have items. We have separate items now. We used to have a package. We
Right.
still can do packages, but it's like a la carte now because a lot
Yeah.
of people can't afford the whole thing.
Yeah.
And
It's
so
expensive.
we take it and we say, okay, what's the most that you want done? And so we customize it to what they need. And they like that. They don't want to pay $1,000 for,
Yeah.
marketing.
Which is what happens because, well, beside the $1,000, some people, when they go get their book published independently, it can be 3,000, 5,000, 10,000. I mean, and
Exactly.
so I've said this over and over on my show. I'm happy to tell people where to go if they need help to get. I don't do any of that. I don't publish. I
Yeah.
don't do any of that. But I can help them. But I can't help them once they come to me after they spend 5 grand. And
Right.
there's, you know, it happens all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I get emails constantly, you know, on marketing and marketing. And, you know, I have to admit, sometimes I'm tempted, but then I go, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? You know, I listen to a lot of webinars because I think I listen to the part of all of what, yeah, everything they have to say, because sometimes it's really good advice. However,
Yeah.
once they start selling at the end, I hang up. That's it. I'm done. But I
Yeah.
get a lot of things out of it. I mean, so I think people, if they would listen to, well, webinars, but the other thing is they have it every time you ask a question to anybody now online, they give you a tutorial. So it's like, I just want a question answered. I don't want to be listening for an hour. This is I think it's a problem. Drives me crazy. I've had so many, especially even with the podcast. I've done them for 16 years. I've done them the way I do them, and that's it. But every time I look something up now, because Blog Talk happened to be contained as also doing live shows and just putting it out. But
Yeah.
so now I was on my own. And so I listened to this place. I was all over the place and joining it, unjoining it. And so I found that Podbean was good. And then I'm on Spreaker.com, which puts me everywhere. Plus, but I've decided after all of this to go with the fact that I'll just use my Michigan Avenue Media site, and that's where people can find my shows. Because, you know, right now there are thousands and thousands and thousands of shows.
Exactly.
And when I started, nobody even knew what a podcast was. They'd go, "Well, where can we find you? What is
Yeah.
it?" You know, I
What
mean,
is
they
a
did not know,
podcast?
right? And you know, it seems like people were doing this forever, but they weren't. Which you know,
Right.
also remember the parties people had; those were
Oh,
successful.
oh,
Not
oh,
anymore,
yeah. Yeah.
but that's
Facebook
what.
events are no longer.
Yes, because and right, and that's the other thing. You could have an event for even a show. Like I would put it in and then people would know when the show was on. Even though we're posting, they sometimes because it was a podcast, they go, "What does that mean?" You
Yeah.
know, and so
A lot of
that's
people
how
are
much
scared
we've
of it.
evolved. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so which is what for some people that were scared, I have shows that have 3 and 4 people at the same time. I haven't done this yet here, but this way they don't have to feel like it's all on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously, like
Especially
you can do this, but obviously people can't. And I
right.
still remember how scared I was. So I heard what Michael had said on his uh, podcast that you know he talks. I used to do the same thing, and I still do if they need to. If they want to talk to me first before they come on the show, because then they go, "Well, so what's a show like?" I go, "Just what we did, because we were just talking." You
Yeah.
know,
Just being a
and
friend.
that's all it is, right? But I think I see where people are nervous. I can't blame them.
I
And
don't
one,
either. I mean,
yeah,
I've signed up probably 5 or 10 in the last month.
yeah,
And, they're like, what is it? What do I do?
yeah,
When do I
yeah.
come on? I
It's
said, it's
scary.
easy. Just push the live button and you'll
Yeah,
be
I know, but you know what? It's not that easy. It
there.
isn't. You
No.
know, because before, like even when I was doing my shows, I had 15 minutes to talk to my guests before to relax them a little and we just talk about
Right.
what they wanted to talk about. We don't have that now. It just goes live. Once it's
No.
live, it's live.
Mhm.
But so that's why if they feel uneasy, if you have a couple guests with them, they just don't feel as, nervous.
Right. Right.
Which I have to say, after 16 years, the first few minutes of my show, I'm always screwed up in my head. I have so many thoughts in my mind that it was easier before because I had my message on the show, and then I knew the people were there, and so then I could ease into it.
Right.
You know, because
Yeah.
especially on an off the cuff show with no questions, you just go, because I don't have, sometimes I'll take a note when somebody's saying something to remember to go back to it. But no, if you don't have questions, you better figure out what you're going to do because
Right.
if it get, but obviously you're a good guest because you like to talk about all of this and you do all day long. You're talking to your clients.
Yeah. Yeah. I do a lot of correspondence
Yeah.
every day
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
clients. I mean,
Yeah.
either messaging them or talking on the phone to them, and and some I have to coax into what they want to do because
Right.
they don't have an idea.
Right.
They
And
have
it,
no
listen,
idea.
it's hard for everybody. When you're just starting out, even when you're seasoned and been doing this for years, nobody ever knows if you're going to get a bad review. And if you do, see, my thing is if people get bad reviews, just move on. But a lot of people will stop. They will not write anymore if they get bad reviews. And
I
that's not a
know.
good thing.
You can't do that. I mean, I had an author, he's been number one on Amazon for years at different times,
Right.
different books. But he's like, what the heck is going on? Why
Yeah.
did I get this bad review? Just move on. Don't worry about it. Don't take it to heart.
Right.
There are some very mean people out there who just don't get it. Or there's people who just don't like your book, and
Or,
you need to understand that not
right.
everybody's going to like it.
Exactly. Right. And also there are people that don't finish the book. So if they just don't like the first chapter, then don't review the book
Right.
because they don't know
Exactly.
how sensitive an author can be and that could ruin their whole career.
Yes, it could. And
And I know people that has happened to and it's bad.
oh yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
It's very bad.
Mhm.
So sometimes, I think they should just keep writing and writing and not look so much at the reviews or the numbers because the numbers, you know, they change every second. And if you're in a category that's smaller than like a romance is a huge category,
Mhm.
sci-fi, horror. But if you're in a smaller category that has a certain market, you can get to number one. That doesn't mean you're still selling a lot of books though. That's the thing.
Right.
It's just numbers, and so I think, and a lot of people, unfortunately, they don't tell the truth. They're not selling that much, but they say they are. So
I know.
it's just how it is, But what can you do? You know,
Nothing. You
nothing.
you just do what you can do. Don't worry, don't sweat the small stuff. Write your book and then get people that will help you. Um, some say, oh, it doesn't matter what the budget is or anything. That's not true because
Yeah,
a lot of people come back to me and say, well, I can't afford that right now.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
what can you do? What can you afford? We're willing
yeah,
to work with you.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
not you're not alone. You're not alone at C&J.
Well, it just becomes very, it is expensive to do all of this because unfortunately you have to get your book out there. And there's no other
Right.
way than by mark. Years ago people go, oh, don't pay for anything. Well, that's not true now. You have to pay.
Yeah, you
You
have
have
to.
to. That's how, unless you want to do it yourself, but you may not have as many contacts to be able to get yourself any place. And even
Right.
if you do, it's a long journey,
It is.
and but you have to, if you love writing, this is don't try to write and try to think you're going to make a lot of money because that's not happening. It just doesn't.
Yeah,
It would be nice, and some people are very, they get really successful fast, but most of the people don't.
yeah,
But just getting the book out is a very hard thing. It's an accomplishment. So I think that people don't realize how hard it is to even get that book out. And once they do, they should be happy because years ago, like when I was an agent, I was sending to all these, publishers,
yeah,
getting all these, rejections for people, myself included, that, it's not like that now. So sometimes people get their book made and they think, oh, now I'm successful because I got my book made. But that's just the beginning.
yeah.
That's where
You
you come
gotta
in.
educate yourself. Educate yourself. Do your research. Follow up on what your publisher and your
Yeah.
marketer is doing for you. Look at the newest trends.
Yeah.
Take those things to heart.
Right.
Make notes. I mean, you have to. This is your business. You have
Right,
to.
right. You have to treat it like a business. Like I
Of
heard you
course.
talking about audiobooks. I love audiobooks. All my books are there. And so I wanted to say to people listening, if you have a book on Amazon, you can go into acx.com and you can put your book in there and a narrator will, you know, they'll come back with, they if they don't, you can there's thousands and thousands of narrators and there's a deal, it's a 50-50 deal. So if a narrator likes your book, you will they'll narrate it, and then Amazon splits it. So it's between, not, well, actually ACX, but Amazon owns it. But you don't, they give you the check and they give the narrator the check. But
Exactly.
right, and it's a 7-year deal, but Amazon, it's a good place, Audible. It's very good.
It is. I
So
mean,
if you,
my
yeah,
books are older,
it doesn't
and
matter though.
I don't sell a book, but I do sell the audiobooks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, I
I
do.
love audiobooks. They're great. And
Yeah,
people think, but there are people out there that charge people for a ton of, a lot of money. And so then they
yeah.
go, well, I can't afford it. But yes, you can. If your book is on Amazon and you put yourself in the 50-50, which is half for the narrator and half for you, then it doesn't cost you anything. And there's a lot of great audio, they're great narrators.
Audiobooks.
It's a hard job being a narrator.
It is. It really is. I know. I am one, but
Right, right.
it's
Have you narrated your own? You mean you've narrated?
no. I've had mine done by Kim Zimmer,
Yeah.
uh,
Oh
who
yeah.
is with.
Isn't she the one that was? Isn't she from the soap opera?
No, it's a
Oh,
different
a
one.
different one. But
I'm
there is a
kidding.
Kim Zimmer. Do you know that there was a Kim Zimmer? She was a actress.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah,
she was good too. But the person that I have, her voice was perfect for
yeah,
my,
yeah.
for my character.
And you get a
And
lot of auditions, and so then you can pick who you want.
exactly, exactly. And when you listen to the auditions, you got to pay attention to the
Yeah,
diction that they're
yeah,
using.
yeah,
If the person is a Southern person in the book, you make
yeah,
sure that that person has
yeah.
a Southern accent because it
I
won't
know.
work if they don't.
Right. I know. I know. Yes. And a lot of times, if the narrator isn't good, unfortunately, people don't listen. That's what
Right.
happens. It really, but and that's the other thing. Listen, you cannot please everybody. So you have to be happy with what your decisions are. And over the years, I've made decisions, and sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. But it's a learning experience. Don't take it as like something that you can't learn from.
Exactly.
You know.
100%.
So I think
Yeah.
that's you know, I think if you're learning, even to this day, I'm learning something because,
Yeah.
and like you were talking about the category, if you're in a category that sometimes isn't right for you, you can change it on Amazon. However, they sometimes change it themselves, and I do not know why. And they make
I don't get
mistakes.
that. I think sometimes
They make
they
a
let
mistake.
AI and the algorithms take
Yeah.
over,
Yeah.
and it automatically just changes it, or they throw away one of your reviews or all of them, and
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
it's
And
very
some
tough.
people, Some people are I don't know, they took people off of Barnes and Noble. I don't know why. Mine are still there, but I don't know. I have
Yeah,
no
there's a
idea.
lot that are gone now from
Why? Do
Smashwords.
you know why Barnes and Noble did that? I mean, I don't know.
Well, because they're just getting slammed and they have to be more picky about things.
Yeah.
Plus, the big the big publishers out there, the traditional publishers
Well, they're
have
not
gone by
thrilled.
the wayside. A lot of
Yeah.
them are gone
Yeah.
now.
Well,
And they don't
well,
take they don't take your manuscripts anymore. You can't just send a manuscript to a publishing company anymore. They'll reject it.
and you know how many good books? There are so many good books out there that publishers have not taken.
Right,
So if somebody's independently published, it's not because it's not a good book. It's because
right.
nobody wanted that particular book, or they're overloaded with books, or they just don't
Yeah,
have the money to keep doing it. You
exactly.
know, look at the market. Look how many books there are. So obviously, they can't do what they did before because right now it's loaded. I was just watching an old movie. I actually put it out there to for people. It's called Return of Peyton Place. And it's
Oh, I love that. That's one of my favorite
I
movies.
love that. Okay, so it was on and I put something out because that's the old publishing business.
Right.
But it was so good, and I taped it because I love it. And I saw it. It's on AMC, I think, or not. No, it wasn't. I think it was on TMC, Turner
Yeah.
Station, or one of those stations, the older stations. And it was such a good book. And I always like to have people on. We talk about old movies and everything, but I thought, oh, I just saw it. I'm putting it out there, because it's really a good story.
It
You know, when,
is.
when you look at some of
Got
these
a
old,
little bit of it's got a little bit of everything.
yes,
It's dated. I mean, it
oh, it
really
is,
is.
but the messaging, some of it is very much the same.
It is. I mean, I don't want to give any of it away, but
Right.
there's some certain situations
Yeah,
that
that happened.
women get themselves into,
Yes.
and
Uh-huh.
that's
Yeah.
addressed. That's
Yeah.
addressed in that story.
Yes, it is. And there's lots of things. And when people, it's like the old days when I think editors used to work with you, like they'd go out to dinner with you and talk and do all of that. The world is
Yeah.
much too fast. It's a fast spinning world. But, so I think if people, want to, when you watch an old movie, a lot of times you're seeing a very good story.
Yes. Yes.
And so when
Because
you watch,
many hands have been involved in it.
yes,
A lot of
yes,
round tables
yes,
read it and they talk
yes,
about it. And
yes. And it's good. I think right now people, there's so many movies out there and series that people don't even know what they're, sometimes you start a series now and you go, "Oh, I don't want to do it." There's so much, you know. So, but I, I like a series, but I also like one movie that I'm done in 2 hours.
right. It's
It,
like
it,
reading a book. Once
yeah,
you read that book, you're
yeah.
done.
Yeah, yeah, you don't go back. So I think,
Mm.
and another thing I want to talk to you about is I like Pinterest. I think it really can help an author. I just don't do it exactly the way that it should be because you really have to work it. But there are webinars for Pinterest, and I think it's a good, for ideas, or maybe if people want to take their book and possibly find pictures that correspond with it.
Yes, yes. And a lot of the times the cover will speak for itself.
Yeah,
A lot of the times it won't.
yeah.
I've seen a lot of people put a bad cover with a good book, and
I know.
you know, but I don't
And
I don't go by the cover. I don't go by the
I
blurb.
know, but people
It's
do though. I know, but
yeah,
people do
yeah,
because there's
they
so much to choose from. But I also think there's one thing, sometimes you're watching a movie and then it's been a month or two and you don't even remember the title.
I know. I did
So,
that with books.
right. Well, right. So I think that I've made some mistakes, but I think that the title, like should be like someone like let's say any well, something that's one or two words. People remember that.
Right.
See, like Peyton Place, okay? That's like a just it was a place, but it was the whole story was about that. But you remember that,
Yeah.
and
Well,
so
the people lived in that town,
right,
and so,
right,
they could
right,
relate with what the book was called because that's what the book was about, and it was the city that those people lived in.
right, and any title that you remember, think about it. It's probably a short title
Yes, exactly.
because otherwise you go like, what was that book? Luckily, we have phones now; we can look it up. I
Yeah,
find people, I find,
Google it. Google
I
it.
know we go. I go like, well, how old do you think that person is? And I look it up. Okay, what movie? What? Because a lot of times I, so you see someone on the screen and you go like, I know that person. So what? What? Who is that? So then, what did they do? Were they in another movie? And so, if you look on Google, you find it.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
Before we had to go, I had to go through the alphabet in my head, going, okay, starting at A, where could where could the name be? Because I could not just let it go. Some people let it go. I have to figure it out right then,
Yeah, I do.
of like what. But I do think Pinterest could work for people. It's also a new place to get things, yourself out. What's new that you want to tell your people what to do, or people out there what to do? What's new?
Well, Reddit used to be really hard to get into
Yeah.
and complicated, and they wouldn't let you do this and they wouldn't let you do that. And now they're opening up a little bit and
Yeah.
letting people, talk about their books a little bit. I mean, not talk, but,
Yeah.
write about their books a little bit there. And they don't like you to use links, but then I noticed the other day that they're letting some people use links.
Oh,
And so,
really? Okay.
you know, Reddit, is really, I don't know, it was really bad. I didn't
Yeah.
understand it. But I'm
Yeah.
starting to understand it now because I'm reading more about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's a new trend. And the
Yeah. I'm
threads.
on Threads. I'm on
Oh, I
Threads,
love
and I'm on Blue Sky, and then
right.
I'm on
That's a
Substack.
great
And
place.
my
Yeah.
problem is for me, which I did even with the show on Podbean. I started account and they have another account. So then I
Uh,
go into something and I go, I had that account 3 years ago. It wasn't new to me, right? But I never did anything with it.
right. Uh-huh.
So I do that a lot. Like
Yeah.
book,
And I
like book.
started using Clapper when TikTok was down for
Yeah,
a while.
yeah, right.
Clapper is just like TikTok. It really is. And
But, okay,
if you hit video, you don't have to put a video. You just look up
right.
at the top of the screen, and on the right hand side it says photo, and you can just pick a photo.
Ah, that's
And
good.
so it's just like TikTok, but there's a lot more people to pay attention.
Huh,
I don't
okay.
mean a lot more people on there. I mean the people pay attention to the books. And
So
you
how do you spell? Let's tell people it's clapper.com or
yeah, Clapper.
no,
And
.com.
it's a really good place. I've gotten some feedback on it. Not a lot of my clients
Yeah,
have went on it yet, but we've went on it for our clients.
yeah,
We always research the best places to put your
yeah,
books, and we always refer people to our website because we have a page for each of our authors on
yeah,
there,
yeah.
and it talks about their books and who they are, and it gives their bio. And so that's a good place too, or is the website. You go to
But
people's
and they also people should also, if they don't have a website, they should have a website, just even if it's one page. It's more
right,
like a landing page where people will go and see everything you've done.
right, and they don't have to search around Amazon. That's
Right.
the thing. If you don't like to search around Amazon for a book, go to
Right.
the websites, go to the
Yeah.
person's website and find out, or go to their publisher's website because their
Yeah.
books are there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
And I think
there's
it's important. Yeah.
it is, and there's so many ways you can do that.
Well, there's YouTube now. I mean, Now people are
Oh,
using the
oh yeah.
podcast. It's never ending. It really is. And then there's LinkedIn and Linktree, and
Yeah.
then Linktree. I think is okay, but I think I was talking on my show with the thing about Linktree is it puts it, you, they show your links, but then you're with everybody else. So if you just get your own website, like you would just say, they'll go to see you, and they
Right.
won't get sidetracked by everything else.
Exactly. Exactly. I
Because
feel
I
the
do
same.
think people get sidetracked. I do myself too. Sometimes and I have to admit, TikTok when I'm on there because it's kind of relaxing. It's not like you're looking at people dance, sing, sell cosmetics. It's just a form of relaxation, I think, for me. And Pinterest
It
too. I
is
love
me too.
Pinterest.
Yeah, because I can look at what I want to look at.
That's right. Yeah.
And book talk, they have all those
The
books
books.
there.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
ladies talking about
Yeah.
books,
Yeah. Yeah.
professionals talking about books.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but you have to be wary too because there's a
Yeah.
lot of
Mm,
foreign, and I'm not saying that I'm prejudiced or anything because I'm not,
right.
but there's a lot of foreign entities that are trying to spam our market, and you have to be very careful if you've getting these messages from people you don't know, or
Yeah.
you're getting them going into your comments that other
Yeah.
people have
Yeah.
made, and then they're saying stuff like, oh well, I can help you with this. That's not the way a pub or a promotion and marketing company acts.
Yeah.
They don't do that. I don't do that. I don't go on
No.
other people's uh, posts and comment that I want them to come to me for marketing.
No.
That's
Yeah.
just not the way it's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, I think, like Facebook in its day, you could get hundreds of people looking at your posts. It's not
Exactly.
like that now. It's not like that.
No. Uh-uh.
And if it is, we're not seeing it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, that's true too
You know,
because
we're not,
all these algorithms and
yeah, yeah,
AI is just taking over, and they're putting stuff in your mouth
right,
basically.
yeah, yeah.
They're putting stuff there that, hey, I didn't write that, or
Well,
that's
that could
not
be
the way
very dangerous. Yes, that's very
it
dangerous. You have to be very careful. I think that's the other thing.
So
I mean,
it's
yeah, and you also have to be very careful of who you post or comment, the who they are. Check them out
oh yes, yes. Don't friend
because
somebody that
this
you
may
don't
not be
know.
good for you.
Yeah,
And those are the bad things that happen. We didn't have that. You know,
no.
I mean, Instagram. They're all. There's so much social media that I think that's what happens. People are overwhelmed. So I guess you have to pick what you like and just stick with it.
Yeah. Or find somebody that can help you with that.
Like
You know.
like you're doing, because that is what you do. And I think if people think they can do it themselves, it's a lot of time. That
And
takes time.
it's very daunting. Very daunting.
Yeah.
So
And
many
then
authors just need someone a crutch.
direction.
Right.
They
And
need,
that's what we give. We don't
right.
we don't sit there and try to upsell you or, oh,
No,
I've
right.
got this new thing. Do you want it? No, we
So
just
I
go,
think people sometimes think people are very expensive. So I'm just going to ask you to do this because I think it's important. What's the lowest price that they can start at? Because I think sometimes they're listening and they go, I can't afford it at all. So do you have a lowest price where they could come in and start?
yeah, $20.
Okay, there you go. All right.
$20 would be just a basic, a couple of social media postings. We do graphics for anybody. I mean,
Okay.
our graphics are really well known now.
Yeah.
And so people will say, well, I only want one graphic and I only
Right.
want it out for 2 weeks. We'll do that. We're
Right.
not opposed to anything. You give us an
Right.
idea, we'll run with it.
Yeah. Which I
And
think
people
is a
say,
good thing.
"Oh, you're just trying to grab at straws," but no, it's
Yeah.
experience. If you
Right.
want experienced employees,
Yeah.
an experienced person that runs the company, then and make friends with them. Find out
Right.
who they are and what they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Don't rush into anything like that.
Right. And that's why I asked you to say the price, because sometimes when people are listening, like I've, certain websites, if I've had people on my shows, I say the price that it is, because sometimes people think, oh, it's like $300, $500 that
No,
they
no.
need to have. So that's why, see, they can start for as little as $20.
Yes.
And
And you're
then
gonna get more than you're gonna get more than actually
it's a
what we're saying.
start.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a,
a start. If you like the
it's a start.
$20, then I mean, we go all the way up to $60 a month.
Right.
$60 a month is not bad in this day and age. It
No.
really isn't.
No,
And
that's
what we
why because I do think people listening sometimes are afraid to ask the price. They don't want to they don't want to make a commitment, but they don't have an idea of what it
Yeah,
is. They're
you
thinking
can
it might be more
if
money.
you don't want a monthly if you don't want a monthly fee, you don't want that coming out of your bank account.
Yeah,
We'll take yearly. We take a yearly amount. We
yeah,
customize it to what you think you need. And I'm telling you, our yearly amount is, only $330. And I know that sounds like a lot, but you're getting every single thing we do
right.
for your book. And
Right,
it's just
because I do
we
think
take
people think from the past. You cannot think about what the past was, because
right.
the past it's not everybody, and also people pay for book reviews. Listen, they can pretend that people don't pay, but some way they do. What
They do. I
even
mean, it used to be if you said that you were going to pay for a review,
Yeah,
thousands of authors would say, "No, no, that's
no, no.
wrong.
Well,
That's
because back in the day, that is how it was. You would send your book to different publications, like
wrong." Yeah,
newspapers or whatever in those days, and then sometimes that was for free, and but you never even knew if your book was on there because they never told you what the publication date would be a lot of times.
right.
So you have no idea. You have no idea that it went anywhere, but you didn't pay either. But you did pay to send it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like now you can send it from online. You had to send it at mail or UPS, somewhere like that.
Yeah, that was tough. I remember
It
my first
was.
manuscript being sent out, and it was a
Yeah.
mess. It was just a
Yeah.
mess.
Yeah. And you had to have it a certain way.
Yeah.
Even with a script, you had to have three hole punch. You have to have those little, um, it's like a clip. You have to clip it together, and you can't put it just, you had to be that way because then otherwise it would be like you're not experienced.
Yeah.
So everything had to be right. So, people have a lot of chances now to get their work out, which is so good. And I think sometimes when people are complaining, they're getting their book out. Years ago, people didn't get their book out. They were in drawers and people died and threw out the papers, not knowing what they were. But now
Right.
you can get a book made. And once it's made, it's made. Amazon, they don't take books off.
No, they don't. I'm
Right.
testament. They
I
really
know
do.
that. So, right. So, if you're thinking, if something should happen to you or whatever, your book is still out there and you
Yeah.
don't know who's reading it, which is a good thing.
Yeah,
Because
it is.
how do you think all these TV shows get made? You see on them, it goes, oh, based on book by, based on book by this one. And that works. You just have, if that book gets in the right hands of somebody, you can have a movie.
You could.
So
I'm not, don't say that that will happen because, in many cases it will not. I
But
mean,
it might. But it
you have
might because
that.
if you
It
look
might.
at the
You
you
have that
I
hope.
all the everything I watch, it says based on or book. But it really happens a lot more than you think because
Yes.
look
Some
at
of those like TV
Reese
lawyer
Witherspoon,
shows,
Nicole Kidman, all of those younger stars, they have production companies.
Reese Witherspoon is a big one, and she is very personable. I mean, you can go on Facebook and make friends with her.
Yes,
Now,
and
there's a lot of stars that
there
have fake,
it's
fake.
so much easier now because the agency I had, I was, at WGA, so I could get in anywhere. But if you weren't WGA, you can't get in anywhere. I became a WGA so I could get in everywhere, which didn't mean that they were going to necessarily take the script because a lot of times they don't even know what they want,
Right?
And so they would go, oh, I don't want this, I don't want that. And I would go like, what do you want? So they would say a popular movie, whatever it was,
Uh-huh.
you know, My Best Friend's Wedding. And they would say, we want a movie like that. And I would go like, how did you didn't know My Best Friend's Wedding was going to be such a success?
Right,
So
right,
how do you know that?
right. And like those teenage shows, I was just gonna say,
Yeah,
the vampire teenage shows and
yeah,
Buffy the Vampire Slayer, those were all books to
yep,
begin with.
that's right.
And
So that's why it can happen,
it can.
but it can't happen if it's in your drawer, just a bunch of paper or on your computer, you know, and nobody will see it. So that I just encourage people to have their books published. Like you said, they have to be published right. They have to be edited. They have to have a good cover. They have to have a lot of things in marketing too. And they have a shot. They really do.
Yeah, if you do your research about what needs to be done to sell a successful book, you're going to be all right. You're going
If
to
you
be
look
all
at some of the old books from years and years and years, like way back,
Oh
half those
yeah, like
books, they'd never
the
be there. There's no way they'd be published now. Not a chance.
yeah.
They're just not that good. Or the covers weren't good. They had errors all over. So I think just keep writing is the message that both of us are saying, actually. Keep writing and have someone help you, like yourself, or at least do your marketing or get a web page. You offer that too, though, too, right? A website.
Oh yeah, we offer websites and
So what else? What else? So that,
if you've got an idea of something that you would like,
yeah,
chances are we've done it before.
right.
And if we haven't, we'll research it for you and
Yeah,
we will implement it because it's so important to help authors. No one helped me.
yeah.
No one helped me with anything.
No,
And
right.
I just listened, well, not listened, but I watched
Yeah,
Facebook and I watched what other authors were doing, and I would talk to them and say, "Well, what do you think about this?"
yeah.
And then I would get a good opinion from them. Some don't give good opinions, some are
No.
just,
I
well,
had a manager and he was just great, and but it was very hard for him to even if I was a WGA, even if I had screenplays, it's still hard. So but he told me, he goes, just write a good story is a good story. So that's how I got my good story title
yeah.
of my show
Tell
from
people,
him,
please tell
because
people.
just write a good story
Can you
and be
tell
proud
people
of.
what WGA was?
Okay, it was the Writers Guild. It's
Okay.
still available. The Writers Guild. I was on the east side, and I had a lot of the East Coast, and West Coast was different.
Yes. Mm.
We were divided into two, which it still is, and I think I'm
Yeah.
still listed. But you had to get approved, and you had to have people, that wrote letters for. I mean, it was very different then. You had to
Well,
have
yeah. It's like
recommendations, and
becoming
yeah,
a literary agent. That's what I did too. You
yeah,
have to
yeah, yeah,
send in all this information and have
yeah,
people vouch for
yeah,
you and
yeah,
things like that. And it can be really tough, but then again, it can be really
yeah.
rewarding if you join these places.
Right. And, being a WGA, my problem was I couldn't send my own things out.
Right.
So actually, if I knew what I knew now, that nobody even cares now, I should have. Because it's very different now. You know, uh, they were very strict before, you know.
Yeah.
And I think now, because like we just said, there are different ways that people do it, by going online, or, that you can actually have a much better career now than you could years ago,
Yes, you
because
can.
you can make your own career.
Right.
And
And I
that's,
encourage authors, and I know this might sound a little lazy, but I encourage authors to have a lunch with other authors.
yeah,
Uh, ping things off of each other.
yeah,
uh, Take notes on what the other authors are saying. It might
yeah,
not fit into your genre or your categories, but the advice might help you along the way, and you might realize that, oh, hey, I need to do this.
right.
uh, because if you don't join these places or talk to these people, I'm not saying WGA, but
No, oh,
you
no,
know
or listen. listen to podcasts. My podcast for all these years, and they're still on my website, michiganavenuemedia.com.
That's what
I
I
had
was gonna
authors,
say. Go to
yeah, from
podcast.
all, yes, and no, because there's so many interviews with different authors. I usually on my shows I'm taking notes because they have good ideas and not everybody knows everything. So I found it in my career so helpful to talk to other authors like you're saying because we may write differently but we have some of the same character, we have some of the same problems. And it's
Exactly.
good when you're
Exactly.
talking to someone you're actually thinking out loud and that helps your writing.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it
Because
really, really does.
yeah, because my regular friends have no clue what I'm talking about. It's just not. It's not happening, and it's not their fault.
Yeah.
It's just
No,
they don't. But other authors understand.
they do.
How it is, and it's hard. But after all of this, so what's your last words for people of what and where they can find you?
Okay. Well, how you can find me is www.cjpromomkt.com. And then we're C&J Promotions and Marketing. And we are, basically open 24 hours a
Yeah,
day, but from 8 to 5 is normally when you can reach
yeah,
us.
yeah.
Our phone number is 502-910-9100. It's very easy to remember, 910-9100. We can help you. You ask us questions, we'll have answers for you. And if we don't, we'll look them up for you.
Right. And you can always find me and you could ask me and I'll send you where you need to go. So if you're not writing it down or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And Marsha has a page on
yeah,
our website. So if
yeah,
you want to find out Marsha and her books,
yeah.
go to our website or go to her website,
Yeah. And I do believe in websites. It's really important. So think about that, even if you get a one page website,
Right. It's
because
just,
people can't help it. They look you up. They do look you up. You know that.
and we put your websites on the ads for your books
Yeah.
so that people can, they know that they can go there if
Right.
they can find you
Right.
on Amazon.
Right. And if you want to be a guest, just let me know. I'm always available. So if you want to send me an email and or find me on my websites, that's fine. And then I'll respond. And if you want to talk to me, just let me know. So thank you so much, Crystal, for being on the show. And I hope we
Oh,
gave
Marsha,
people
thank
some
you.
information. And if you need anything, ask Crystal and myself, or, and keep listening to all podcasts because of writing and with authors. It's so interesting.
They're different, and
Yeah,
you can
everybody. Yeah,
glean
yeah,
different ideas from each
yes,
one.
yes. So have a great day. It's Wednesday. I've changed every day. I used to do it on Thursday, Wednesday, then Tuesday.
Right.
But this is a live show. I'm still doing them live because that's how it's the only way I can do it. If I listen to myself later, I'll be cutting out my voice. Just let it go. So whatever we said today is live and it'll be on all the stations, iHeart, Spotify, everywhere. So I'd have a great day and thank you again. I'll see you next Wednesday with Marie Siegel. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.